This is Brian Mazik, the featured columnist from BleacherReport.com, a.k.a. Franchise Play, a.k.a. the Big Numbers Guy. And yes, the Chicago Cubs are just about to report for pitchers and catchers in a couple weeks. And it's time to look ahead. Now, we'll look backwards for a second, though. Cubs did not get Tanaka, did not sign Masahiro Tanaka. So that would have been a huge sign. And, of course, no one can really dispute that. I mean, the guys, from what we know and from what we saw, he was going to be or could have been an excellent addition to the top of the rotation. But the Cubs didn't get him, so it's time to move on. The Yankees signed him. Don't hate the Yankees. You can't do anything about it. You don't hate them. It's just they went hard. They didn't get him. Jeff Samardzija is getting a lot of the attention. People are talking about possible trades. I think they should hold on to him. But as much attention as he gets, last year, as a matter of fact, the best pitcher, the most consistent pitcher in the rotation was Travis Wood. And he was also an all-star. So just take a look at the statistics here from last year. Neither of them had a winning record, but look at Travis Wood's ERA, 3.11. Pitched 200 innings. It's not the strikeout pitcher, of course, that Samardzija is, but he was far more consistent. He's only 26 years old. We'll see what happens this year, but I could see both he and Samardzija having better seasons than they had last year. A big key for the rotation for the Cubs this season is Edwin Jackson. Edwin Jackson has to be better than he was last year. 4.98 ERA, 8-18. He has to be better than that. Only 135 strikeouts and 175 innings. That's not going to work out. If the Cubs are going to turn any type of corner as a starting rotation, one of the biggest keys is Edwin Jackson. They did do a great job in finding a legitimate closer in Jose Veras. He had 45 saves last season, and it's only a one-year contract. And I actually like one-year contracts for relievers because they're really so year to year. I mean, really are pitchers, period, but especially relievers and especially closers. So when you sign one of those guys, unless you got a guy with a proven track record like a Mariano Rivera and those types of guys, anything more than a one-year contract usually makes me nervous. So you see Veras there. The setup man is probably going to be Wesley Wright. Now, you might look at James Russell and look at that ER. I look at that the record and be like, ugh. But relievers' records can be deceiving. I really like him a lot. Trust him almost the most of anyone in the bullpen. Everyone has rocky outings or whatever, especially out of the bullpen, but still trust him. Pedro Strop also came over in a trade that actually brought the Cubs Jake Arrieta. Jake Arrieta is another key to the rotation because he has a ton of potential. Hit a few speed bumps in Baltimore, but you really hope that things come together for the rotation there. Now let's look at the battery, though. Without question, Wellington Castillo is going to be he's going to be the starting catcher. The Cubs don't have much of anything there to threaten him and his spot as a starting catcher. Pretty much every game, he'll get his routine days off or whatever, because you can't really pretty much beat a catcher up for 162 straight games. So he'll get his days off, but he's going to be the guy playing 145 to 150 games a year, more than likely in 2014. His primary backup is going to be George Cotaras. As you can see from the batting average, you can see he's not there for his offensive firepower. He's there more just to spell Castillo, and because he's a veteran. So we'll see what happens with him, but Castillo should have this locked down. Also, Castillo's age is incorrect there. Looking at the outfield, Junior Lake is really to me is a very exciting player. He had a really, really strong season last year. Well, especially for a stretch, really had a strong year. But if you consider that Junior Lake is only 23 years old, so his best days should actually still be ahead of him. But last year in 64 games, 284 batting average, hit 6 home runs, 16 RBIs, 4 steals. Not too bad. I think at only 23 years old, there's a reason to be excited about Junior Lake. The Cubs have the youngsters on their team are really exciting, especially out in the outfield, but also in the infield. We'll get to that a little bit later. Now, I'm not jumping up and down about Ryan Sweeney in center field. I mean, I know you're not going to have potential thumpers or whatever at every position, and you got to have guys that are more, kind of a defensive speed guys, and that's pretty much what Ryan Sweeney could be, even though he hasn't ever really he's never stole actually more than 9 bases in his career. But last year for the Cubs, in 70 games, he had 266, had 6 home runs, 19 RBIs, only had 1 steal. I'm probably the most dissatisfied with him as a starter as I am of anyone currently on the team. So we'll see how that works out and how long he stays there, but hopefully there's an upgrade that can be made there. Now, Nate Scherholtz was blazing hot towards the end of the season, and his hot streak had him pretty much being eyed by a lot of contenders down the stretch. The Cubs decided to hold on to him, which could actually bode well for this season, but then again, he could be the object of several contenders' desire if the Cubs are not in the race towards the end of the season. He had 21 home runs last year in 137 games. That was easily a career high. So we'll see more. He got, obviously he got a lot more playing time with the Cubs than he usually gets or had gotten in his career. So we'll see if he can build on that. At third base, originally I thought Luis Valbuena was going to be the man at third base, but the Cubs made a trade for Mike Alt. He was in the Texas Rangers organization, and he was a really highly touted prospect, but he kind of hit a little bit of a speed bump. But he still has talent. He's still only 25 years old. In his only season with the Rangers, didn't do so well. He only had 40 plate appearances, but he only hit 152. Really kind of slumped, lost his confidence, I believe. And the Cubs don't have a ton of options at third base. So Alt's going to get an opportunity to really show he can step up. If not, Valbuena is still there, but you shouldn't be all that excited about him because he did not have a solid season last year at the plate. He does offer some versatility and some depth because he can play third base, second base as well. And so he's a bench guy at this point. He's pretty decent glove, so we'll see what happens with that. Third base, actually, the Cubs, if they can get the hitting that I think they can get from the corner outfielders and this guy right here, then what happens at third base won't be as big. But Starlin Castro has to step up. If Edwin Jackson is the biggest key to the pitching staff this season, and the Cubs having a better season than people expect, Starlin Castro is absolutely the key to the offense. I mean, he was pretty much projected as a future star. He's only 23 years old, so no one can get too down on him. But, I mean, he had 245 last season. 10 home runs, 44 RBIs, only stole 9 bases after stealing 25 the year before. His batting average has dipped every season since he was 21 years old. So the last 2 seasons it's just dipped. All of his production is dipped. Plate appearances aren't dipping. It's just the production. You don't know what's going to happen there. Darwin Barney is all about defense. You're not going to expect much at all from him at the plate, and he didn't give the Cubs much at all last season. 28 years old, I think he's still a very valuable guy. Former Golden Glove winner, didn't win it last year, but he only hit 208. Shouldn't matter, but maybe it did have some effect on the voters. But yeah, he only hit 208 last season. Did hit 7 home runs and stole 4 bases, but he is a solid glove, and I think an important part of the middle of the Cubs defense. As a double play combination, I like he and Castro. And as I said, you don't need to have boppers at every place in the lineup. Barney is number 8 hitter is fine. Anthony Rizzo was named actually the face of the franchise at Cubs convention this year. So the Cubs signed him to a huge extension, and they are really pushing forward and branding him as the guy. And we'll see. And he's only 24 years old. He's already shown tremendous power potential with the Cubs. In the his abbreviated stint in 2012, he had 15 home runs in only 87 games. Played 160 games last year, showed a lot of durability. Hit 23 home runs. Of course, the situation or the issue with Rizzo was always his batting average and his strikeouts. Struck out 127 times, and he only hit 233. He's never going to hit probably 315, 320, but if we can get him up just to like 265, you'll see that you'll see the strikeouts dip a bit, and you also see those home run power numbers go up even more. Off the bench, speaking of power, Justin Ruggiano, he is a big strikeout guy, but he is a bopper. And if you can bring him off of the bench and for certain situations and for pinch hit roles, I think he can be a valuable weapon. This guy has big time power, and he's definitely could be an asset to a team's bench. But even further, one of the best things about being a Cub fan right now is looking ahead to the future prospects. These are three of them. Javier Baez is, of course, the number one guy. Soler and then Albert Almora are also exciting prospects. But if you look at Baez, I mean, last year between two teams, he had 282, 37 home runs, 111 RBIs, 20 stolen bases between it, A+ and AA ball. There is a very good chance you'll see him on the in the Cubs in the Cubs lineup this season. You could even possibly see him on the opening day lineup. He would probably be playing third base, but if he tears it up in spring training, it's going to be hard for the Cubs not to put him on the opening day lineup. Another prospect who has looked awesome is Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant's a third baseman, so that's one of the reasons why you're not all of that upset about what's happening with Alt and Valbuena. He's 22 years old. This dude, we've only seen 36 games, but in 2013, in 36 games, he hit 336 with 9 home runs. Now keep in mind, it's rookie ball, A- ball, and A+ ball. But if he continues to hit the ball this way, it doesn't look as though the Cubs are going to have much of an issue looking at their third base situation. He reminds me a bit of Troy Glaus. Troy Glaus was a very solid power hitter in his time, and I wouldn't say he was a future Hall of Famer or anything like that, but if Troy Glaus is your third baseman when he's in his prime, you don't have much to worry about there. The top pitching prospect, which I think if the Cubs minor league system has any weakness, it is in pitching. Most of the top or high prospects are hitters, but C.J. Edwards is definitely a hot prospect. You probably are not going to see him. I would say for all intent and purpose, you're not going to see him in 2014. He's still only 22 years old, but 2013 between two teams in A ball and A+ ball, he had an ERA of just 1.86, and he was 8-2. The thing you also like a lot about him is his walk, his control. 41 walks in 116 innings is not too bad. It's a little rough because you had 3 walks per 9 innings. You don't want to walk 3 guys a game, but overall, C.J. Edwards is still a strong prospect. You want to see the control get better, and you want to see him actually, just continue to get stronger because he's only about 165, 170 pounds. But we'll see. But that's this first edition, checking in with the Cubs. I'll sprinkle in here and there throughout the season. Looking forward to it. Baseball is just around the corner. MLB The Show is coming. We're going to have some fun. Until next time, y'all subscribe, follow. Peace.